Have you ever wondered where a thought goes when it finally fades into the quiet corners of your mind? Every single night, you lay your head upon a soft pillow, you gently close your eyes, and you willingly surrender your tight grip on the waking world. You slip seamlessly into the vast uncharted ocean of sleep, a daily quiet rehearsal for the ultimate letting go. The boundary between being acutely aware of your surroundings and being completely submerged in the dark, gentle silence of the unconscious is a threshold we cross thousands of times throughout our lives without ever truly understanding how the delicate transition occurs. We trust implicitly that the warm morning light will anchor us back to reality, pulling our fragile consciousness from the deep, formless void back into the structured reality of our everyday existence. But what exactly happens when that morning light no longer reaches us? What unfolds in that profound, mysterious window of time, that very first hour after the biological machine of the human body comes to a definitive, silent halt? The transition from life to whatever vastness lies beyond is not a sudden, instantaneous flick of a switch, despite what our limited human senses might perceive. Before we step further into this quiet journey and explore the deeply fascinating science of our final moments, I would like to introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle guide through the profound mysteries of our universe and ourselves. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful minds who watch these explorations have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and wonder in these quiet contemplations, please consider subscribing. It helps our community grow immensely and ensures we can continue unraveling these infinite cosmic mysteries together. Now, let us return to the quiet darkness, to the very edge of human experience, and watch closely what happens when the physical world begins to fade away. When we think about the end of life, we usually picture a singular, definitive moment in time. The heart beats its final, exhausted rhythm. The chest falls for the very last time, releasing a final breath, and the room grows profoundly quiet. From the perspective of a grieving observer standing beside the bed, everything appears to have stopped completely. The profound stillness of the body suggests an immediate cessation of all inner processes. But the astonishing reality, hidden safely beneath the surface of the skin, is entirely counterintuitive. The exact moment the heart stops pumping life-giving blood is not the definitive end of human consciousness. Rather, it is the spectacular beginning of a magnificent, invisible cascade of neurological events. The human brain, widely considered the most complex and intricate structure we have ever discovered in the known universe, is a vast network of exactly 86 billion neurons. These tiny branching cells have spent your entire life firing delicate electrical impulses, creating the seamless illusion of reality, storing your most ancient memories, and generating the profound subjective experience of simply being you. They are the tireless architects of your consciousness. When the steady flow of blood ceases, these 86 billion microscopic architects do not simply lay down their tools and vanish into the ether. They enter a completely new, highly specialized state of existence, a remarkable survival mode refined by millions of years of evolution that fundamentally alters the nature of time, perception, and reality itself. In the first few fleeting seconds after the heart falls completely silent, the brain is suddenly and dramatically cut off from its steady supply of oxygen and glucose. For almost any other organ in the human body, this sudden deprivation would mean immediate failure. But the brain is incredibly resilient, holding onto a small, localized reservoir of energy to protect the absolutely core functions of consciousness. As the delicate oxygen levels begin to gently drop, a wave of profound chemical changes sweeps across the folded landscapes of the cerebral cortex. For a very long time in the history of medicine, scientists believed that this loss of oxygen would simply lead to a rapid, quiet dimming of the mind, much like a fading sunset slowly turning into the dark of night. However, groundbreaking scientific discoveries have completely shattered this long-held assumption. In the year 2022, a team of dedicated neuroscientists serendipitously recorded the continuous brain activity of a human patient in the exact moments surrounding their passing. What they discovered hidden within the electrical data was not a quiet fading into the dark, but rather an astonishing, vibrant surge of electrical activity. As the physical body let go of its earthly tethers, the brain lit up with a massive, coordinated spike in high-frequency electrical signals known to science as gamma oscillations. Gamma waves are the fastest, most energetic brain waves we possess. In a healthy, fully waking brain, they are intimately associated with the absolute highest levels of cognitive functioning, deep concentration, vivid memory retrieval, and profound meditative states. They are the undeniable electrical signatures of a brain that is highly engaged, intensely dreaming, or experiencing a fleeting moment of absolute clarity. To find such a massive, orchestrated surge of gamma activity in a brain that is rapidly losing its oxygen supply is a profound paradox that fundamentally challenges our basic understanding of what consciousness truly is. Why would the brain, in its final, desperate moments of physical energy, choose to expend its precious, dwindling resources to generate the most demanding, beautiful electrical patterns possible? The profound answer seems to lie deep within the ancient architecture of memory and the fundamental nature of the self. When the normal, heavy external sensory inputs are finally cut off, when the eyes no longer see the light of the room, the ears no longer hear the quiet sounds of the world, and the skin no longer feels the weight of the blankets, the brain turns its immense, unfathomable processing power entirely inward. The default mode network, the specific neurological system responsible for maintaining our fragile ego and our persistent sense of being a separate, isolated self, begins to beautifully and gently dissolve. The rigid neurological barriers that diligently keep our memories filed away in neat chronological order start to break down and melt away, allowing the vast, infinite archives of a lifetime to flood into the present moment all at once. This surge of internal activity brings us to one of the most mind-bending aspects of the first hour after physical cessation, the subjective perception of time. Time is largely an illusion meticulously constructed by the brain. We rely on the ticking of a clock, the movement of the sun, and the steady beating of our heart to anchor us to a continuous flow of seconds and minutes. But when those physical anchors are completely removed, time immediately loses its rigid structure. In the vast realm of pure consciousness, suddenly disconnected from the physical world, a single second can stretch out to feel like an entire millennium. Without new sensory information coming in to definitively mark the passing of the present into the past, the brain enters a timeless, eternal state. The massive surge of gamma oscillation suggests that during these final moments, the individual is experiencing a profoundly vivid, highly conscious state of reality. Researchers theorize that this intense electrical storm is the biological mechanism behind the famous life review reported by individuals who have returned from the brink. It is not a chaotic flash, but a gentle, comprehensive unfolding of every single memory and loving connection ever made, all experienced simultaneously in a mental realm where time has completely dilated. We are, as astronomers say, made of star stuff, our atoms forged in the ancient furnaces of dying suns. Our consciousness is the universe looking back at itself, trying to understand its own majesty. As the dying brain fires its final symphony of gamma waves, the microscopic universe within the mind experiences its own gentle supernova. The boundaries between the isolated self and the vast cosmos begin to blur. The feeling of being a separate entity, localized behind the eyes, melts away into an infinitely more expansive sense of existence. The energy that powered your thoughts and dreams does not disappear. It merely transforms. The first fundamental law of thermodynamics dictates that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The delicate electrical energy that sustained human consciousness begins its quiet journey back into the infinite fabric of the universe, returning gracefully to the ancient cosmic sea from which it temporarily emerged. As the first few minutes gracefully slip away into the quiet expanse of the unknown, a profound and delicate shift begins to take hold within the fading architecture of the human body. We often imagine the cessation of life as an abrupt closing of a heavy door, a sudden and immediate plunge into absolute darkness, where everything simply stops without warning. However, the biological reality is far more akin to a gentle, magnificent sunset over a vast cosmic ocean, where the vibrant, blinding colors of our active consciousness slowly and deliberately transition into the deep, ancient hues of twilight. When the heart has formally completed its tireless, lifelong rhythm, the billions of highly specialized cells that meticulously make up your physical form do not instantly comprehend that the grand journey has reached its physical twilight. They continue to operate, fueled by the tiny residual droplets of stored energy, whispering to one another in the dark, trying to maintain the delicate, precarious balance of life for just a little while longer. This is a profound testament to the incredible resilience woven into the very fabric of our being by millions of years of patient evolution. Within the highly complex, intricately folded landscapes of the brain, the transition is orchestrated with a surprising, almost poetic elegance. As the steady supply of fresh oxygen slowly dwindles, the brain does not panic. Instead, it engages a deeply ingrained, ancient survival protocol that fundamentally alters the nature of our perception. The first extraordinary phenomenon to gently occur is the sequential, highly ordered shutting down of the physical senses. This is not a chaotic, terrifying collapse, but a graceful, systematic dismantling of the bridge that connects the inner universe of the mind to the external physical world. Vision, our most demanding and energy-intensive sense, is typically the very first to gently bow out and step back from reality. The specialized photoreceptor cells at the back of the eyes, which have spent decades constantly translating the brilliant light of the sun and the distant ancient glow of the stars into electrical signals, finally exhaust their molecular fuel. The visual field begins to narrow, softening at the edges, slowly fading into a peaceful, enveloping, quiet gray. Yet, even as the eyes cease to gather new light from the room around us, the visual cortex within the brain remains vibrantly active, turning its immense creative power inward to illuminate the vast hidden landscapes of memory, emotion, and profound imagination. You are no longer seeing the physical world, but you are still experiencing the profound phenomenon of sight, painting the dark canvas of your mind with the rich, beautiful colors of an entire lifetime. Following the gentle fading of vision, the senses of taste, smell, and touch sequentially release their strong hold on the physical realm. The tactile sensations of the weight of the blankets, the temperature of the surrounding air, and the physical boundaries of the skin begin to dissolve into a formless, floating sensation of absolute weightlessness. It is as if the heavy gravitational pull of the earth has finally released its ancient, relentless grip on the physical vessel, allowing the core essence of consciousness to untether itself and gently drift into the vast, quiet expanse of the great unknown. But there is one particular sense, one delicate neurological pathway that stubbornly refuses to yield to the encroaching silence, the sense of hearing, managed by the incredibly resilient auditory nerve and the deep, ancient structures of the brainstem, is scientifically recognized as the very last tether to the physical world. Medical researchers and compassionate hospice caregivers have long observed that even when a person appears completely unresponsive, deeply submerged in the transitional waters between life and what lies beyond, their brain continues to actively register and beautifully process the subtle sounds occurring in the room. This profound scientific revelation changes absolutely everything we understand about our final moments of physical existence. It means that the gentle whispers of loved ones, the soft, comforting words of a favorite poem, or the quiet, familiar notes of a cherished song are still reaching the deeply protected centers of the conscious mind. Like the faint, ancient echoes of the cosmic microwave background radiation that still wash over our planet billions of years after the Big Bang, the sounds of the physical world continue to ripple through the fading mind, providing a beautiful, comforting anchor of love and connection in the midst of a profound cosmic transition. The brain, even in its twilight state, is still listening, still feeling, still absorbing the energetic vibrations of the universe it is preparing to rejoin. This lingering auditory awareness creates a beautiful, sacred window of time where the departing consciousness is suspended between two magnificent realms, guided gracefully forward by the gentle, loving echoes of the life it is inevitably leaving behind. As the physical senses systematically shut down, isolating the fragile brain from the overwhelming flood of external stimuli, a truly magnificent and mysterious neurochemical event begins to unfold within the deep, ancient chambers of the mind to protect the delicate, dying neurons from the accumulating stress of oxygen deprivation. The brain initiates a massive, coordinated release of powerful, naturally occurring neurochemicals. A profound flood of endorphins, the human body's own potent, natural painkillers, cascades through the complex neural pathways, immediately neutralizing any lingering physical discomfort and wrapping the fading consciousness in an incredibly thick, protective blanket of absolute physical peace. Accompanying this overwhelming wave of endorphins is an extraordinary surge of a beautiful molecule called anandamide. The name of this remarkable chemical is actually derived from an ancient Sanskrit word, meaning profound bliss or supreme joy. Anandamide gently binds to specialized receptors throughout the brain, systematically dissolving the rigid psychological boundaries of fear, anxiety, and the persistent human ego. This beautiful, defensive mechanism, refined over countless millennia of evolutionary history, ensures that the final stages of the physical journey are not characterized by distress, but by a profound, expansive sense of cosmic tranquility. It is as if the biological machine itself possesses a deep, innate wisdom, understanding perfectly that the time for struggle has gracefully concluded, and the time for peaceful, unresisting surrender has finally arrived. This neurochemical flood is profoundly similar to the chemistry of deep meditative states achieved by monks who have spent decades sitting in absolute, silent contemplation, or the overwhelming sense of awe reported by solitary astronauts when they first looked back at our tiny, fragile blue planet floating freely in the vast, endless black ocean of space. The brain is chemically engineering its own gentle, comforting transition, creating an internal environment of supreme peace to perfectly facilitate the profound shift in our basic reality. The individual is no longer a separate, isolated entity, fighting desperately against the inevitable, heavy current of time. They become a quiet, peaceful observer drifting effortlessly on the vast, gentle tides of an ancient cosmic ocean. Simultaneously, as the chemical sanctuary is meticulously constructed, the electrical rhythm of the brain undergoes a profound metamorphosis. In our normal waking state, our minds hum with the rapid, busy frequencies of beta waves, reflecting our constant engagement with the demanding external world. However, as the sensory inputs diminish and the peaceful darkness takes hold, the brain gracefully shifts its operating frequency. The fast, anxious beta waves slowly transition into the relaxed, flowing rhythms of alpha waves, the same gentle electrical patterns we generate when we close our eyes and let our minds wander into a quiet daydream. But the journey does not stop there. The frequencies continue to deepen, plunging into the profound, meditative depths of theta and eventually delta waves. Delta waves are the slowest, highest amplitude electrical patterns the human brain can possibly produce, typically only observed during the deepest, most restorative phases of dreamless sleep. To observe these ancient, sweeping electrical currents dominating the neural landscape in the moments following physical cessation is a profound scientific marvel. It suggests that the brain is not failing erratically, but rather gently guiding consciousness into a state of supreme, undisturbed rest, mimicking the deepest forms of physiological restoration we experience every single night. The mind is quite literally singing itself a final, incredibly slow and beautiful lullaby, preparing the consciousness for a transition that mirrors the comforting embrace of sleep, but on a scale that is infinitely more profound and entirely cosmic in its immense scope. During this incredible neurochemical cascade and the sweeping lullaby of delta waves, as the boundaries of the physical body fade into absolute insignificance, the default mode network, the intricate web of brain regions specifically responsible for maintaining our sense of a continuous separate self, begins its final, quiet dissolution. For your entire life, this specific network has diligently constructed the persistent narrative of exactly who you are, constantly reminding you of your past mistakes, your future anxieties, and your distinct, unbridgeable separation from everything and everyone else in the vast universe. It is the architect of the human ego, the protective psychological shell that allows us to safely navigate the complex social structures of the physical world. But in this profoundly quiet, sacred space of the first hour after the heart stops, that protective shell is simply no longer necessary. As the default mode network powers down, the rigid walls of the ego gently crumble away, revealing a vast, infinite landscape of unhindered, boundless consciousness. This is the precise moment where the profound, counterintuitive science of the mind intersects beautifully with the most ancient philosophical mysteries of human existence. without the constant heavy interference of the ego. The fading mind experiences a spectacular, boundless expansion of profound perspective. The profound illusion of separation simply vanishes into the quiet dark. You are no longer a tiny drop of water struggling to maintain its unique shape. You are gently and inevitably becoming the vast, endless ocean itself. The atoms that meticulously make up your physical form, the oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, were all flawlessly forged in the burning, intensely hot hearts of ancient giant stars that lived and spectacularly exploded billions of years before our own quiet solar system was ever formed. The iron coursing through your veins, carrying the very last whispers of oxygen to your fading brain, is the exact same iron that colors the dusty, quiet surface of distant, barren planets scattered across the vast emptiness of the Milky Way galaxy. You have always been an intimate, inseparable piece of the magnificent cosmos, a temporary, beautiful configuration of ancient stardust that somehow managed to wake up, look around, and ask profound, infinite questions about its own origin. In these final, quiet moments, as the brain's internal chemistry creates a sanctuary of absolute peace, that deep, ancient truth is finally profoundly realized. The mind does not merely extinguish, it miraculously expands. The tiny, localized spark of individual consciousness seamlessly merges back into the vast, infinite, roaring fire of the magnificent universe. The gentle, quiet journey of the first hour is not a tragic process of ending, but a majestic, profoundly beautiful process of returning home, a quiet surrender to the infinite mystery that holds the countless stars in the night sky and the profound silence in our mortal hearts. Have you ever found yourself completely lost in a singular, perfect moment, perhaps watching the slow, deliberate descent of the sun below the horizon, and suddenly realize that time seemed to completely stop? We navigate our entire lives firmly tethered to the relentless, steady ticking of clocks, the turning of calendar pages, and the rhythmic, undeniable beating of our own hearts. We are deeply conditioned to believe that time is a rigid, external force, a continuous river that constantly pushes us forward from the past, through the present, and directly into the unknown future. But Albert Einstein, with his profound cosmic insight, fundamentally shattered this everyday illusion, revealing to humanity that time is not an absolute constant, but a flexible, profoundly relative dimension woven intimately into the very fabric of the universe itself. The human brain, in its infinite complexity, acts as our personal chronometer, carefully stitching together our sensory experiences into a coherent narrative of past, present, and future. But what happens to our perception of this river of time when the biological chronometer finally ceases its tireless ticking? In the first hour after the physical body comes to a quiet rest, the rigid psychological borders of time begin to melt away, plunging the lingering consciousness into a state of profound, eternal present. This is not a dark void, but a vast, timeless ocean of experience, where a single, fleeting biological second can effortlessly expand to encompass the subjective feeling of an entire millennium. Before we delve deeper into this beautiful, timeless expanse and explore the quantum mysteries of the human mind, allow me to warmly welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this gentle journey through the most profound mysteries of our universe and ourselves. I have quietly noticed that 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who join us for these late-night cosmic explorations have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find comfort, wonder, and a sense of deep peace in these quiet contemplations, please consider leaving a gentle tap on that subscribe button. It helps our community of cosmic explorers grow and ensures that we can continue to wander through these endless mysteries together, seeking solace in the vast silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the mind, to that remarkable hour where the known laws of biology slowly give way to the profound, ancient laws of the universe. As the conventional linear experience of time begins to completely unravel in the absence of fresh sensory input, we must look beyond the traditional bounds of biology to truly understand what might be happening to the essence of who we are. For decades, brilliant scientists and deep thinkers have searched for the exact physical location of consciousness within the folded, gray matter of the brain, treating the mind as a purely mechanical byproduct of billions of neurons firing electrical impulses back and forth. But a growing frontier of theoretical physics and neuroscience suggests a reality that is far more magnificent and infinitely more complex. Some of the most brilliant minds of our era, including Nobel laureates, have proposed that consciousness might not be entirely a product of classical physics, but rather a profoundly delicate quantum phenomenon. Deep inside the neurons of your brain lie microscopic, cylindrical structures known as microtubules. These incredibly tiny, elegant structures are thought to function as biological quantum computers, sustaining delicate quantum states of superposition and entanglement that actually generate the subjective experience of consciousness. If this profound theory holds true, it means that the spark of your awareness is fundamentally connected to the same bizarre, awe-inspiring quantum rules that govern the behavior of subatomic particles and the incredibly strange dynamics of the deep cosmos. When the heart finally stops and the blood ceases its vital flow, the biological machinery that sustains these delicate quantum states within the microtubules begins to break down. However, in the realm of quantum mechanics, information is a fundamental property of the universe that, much like energy, can never be truly destroyed. As the physical tethers of the brain loosen, the quantum information that comprises your unique consciousness, your memories, your loves, your quietest fears, and your deepest joys, does not simply vanish into nothingness. Instead, it begins a magnificent process of dissipation. The quantum state of the mind, no longer confined by the warm, fragile shell of the human skull, slowly begins to entangle with the broader universe. This is a scientific concept of breathtaking beauty and profound existential comfort. In this quiet, sacred hour of transition, you are not fading away. You are diffusing. You are becoming inextricably woven into the fabric of space and time itself. The boundaries between the observer and the observed, between the individual mind and the vast ancient universe, become completely porous and ultimately meaningless. The silence that follows the final heartbeat is not empty. It is a profound, resonant silence, filled with the incredibly complex quantum signature of a life fully lived, gently radiating outward into the infinite dark. Consider the magnificent, violent, and ultimately creative death of a massive star. When a giant star exhausts its nuclear fuel after billions of years of burning brightly in the freezing void of space, it does not simply disappear. It collapses under its own immense gravity, and then rebounds in a spectacular supernova explosion, scattering the heavy elements it forged in its core across trillions of miles of interstellar space. These ancient stardust elements eventually coalesce to form new nebulas, new solar systems, new planets, and, eventually, new life. The death of the star is the absolute prerequisite for the birth of everything else. The renowned astronomer Carl Sagan once famously and beautifully stated that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Our consciousness is the universe waking up, opening its eyes, and marveling at its own infinite splendor. If we accept this profound truth, then the transition of consciousness in the first hour after physical life ceases can be viewed as the ultimate peaceful return. The quantum information of your mind, the intricate, beautiful pattern of your unique existence, is released back into the cosmic sea, just as the stardust is returned to the galaxy. You are giving back the borrowed energy and the borrowed awareness to the vast, quiet cosmos that graciously lent it to you for a few fleeting, beautiful decades of earthly life. This realization fosters a profound, unshakable sense of peace and a deep, respectful humility before the grand, unfolding mystery of existence. For your entire life, your ego has fiercely fought to maintain its separate identity, building walls of thought and emotion to protect you from the vast, overwhelming scale of the universe. But in this final, gentle hour, as the biological systems power down and the quantum connections open up, there is no longer any need for defense. The profound struggle of maintaining a separate self is finally laid to rest. What remains is pure, unadulterated wonder. Imagine the sensation of suddenly realizing that you are not a solitary, isolated being trapped on a tiny rock, flying through an indifferent void, but rather an essential, eternal note in a grand, cosmic symphony that has been playing for 14 billion years. The profound silence of the universe is not an intimidating, cold emptiness, but a warm, ancient embrace welcoming a weary traveler back home. The transition is incredibly gentle, a quiet slipping away of the heavy physical form, replaced by a vast, limitless expansion of awareness. Every star you have ever looked at, every galaxy hidden in the deep field of the night sky, every invisible current of dark matter that holds the cosmic web together, all of it becomes a part of your extended, dissipated consciousness. You are no longer observing the universe. You have finally and completely become it. In these contemplative depths, we find a profound reassurance that neutralizes our most ancient, primal fears. The human mind is naturally terrified of the unknown, and there is no greater unknown than the threshold of physical cessation. Yet, when we illuminate this dark threshold with the guiding light of scientific inquiry and the soft, comforting glow of philosophical contemplation, the terror gently dissolves into awe. We begin to understand that the end of the biological narrative is merely the beginning of a magnificent cosmic integration. The universe is incredibly efficient, and it wastes absolutely nothing. It will certainly not waste the intricate, beautiful complexity of your consciousness, the thoughts that once felt so intimately yours, the quiet epiphanies, the gentle moments of pure love. They are forever recorded in the fundamental, unalterable fabric of reality. They ripple outward, subtle energetic waves, traveling through the endless vacuum of space, carrying the indelible mark of your existence to the very edges of the cosmos. As we sit here together in the quiet night, contemplating these immense, beautiful mysteries, we are actively participating in the very process we are describing. Our shared curiosity, our mutual sense of wonder, is the universe exploring its own infinite potential. The journey of discovery is absolutely endless, stretching far beyond the fragile limits of our physical bodies and out into the eternal, gentle dark of the ancient cosmos. The first hour is merely a prologue to infinity. It is the quiet, magnificent moment when the drop of water finally remembers that it has always been the ocean. It is the peaceful sigh of a universe settling back into its natural, undivided state of profound grace. As we continue to explore the magnificent layers of this transition, we will uncover even more astonishing scientific revelations about the resilience of the human spirit and the unbreakable connection between our fleeting thoughts and the eternal stars above. The mystery is vast, but it is a welcoming, gentle mystery that invites us to let go of our fears and simply marvel at the unbelievable beauty of being a part of this magnificent cosmic tapestry. Let us breathe in the quiet night, knowing that we are forever safe in the vast, ancient arms of the universe, and prepare ourselves for the next step in our endless journey of discovery, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever sat quietly in an empty room, listening to the profound silence, and found yourself deeply wondering if the world outside those walls still exists in exactly the same way when you are not there to perceive it? It is a question that feels almost playfully childish at first glance, yet it strikes at the absolute beating heart of the most advanced quantum physics human beings have ever developed. For centuries, we have operated under the comfortable, intuitive assumption that the universe is a giant, mechanical clockwork ticking away in the cold dark, completely indifferent to whether or not we are here to witness its magnificent turning. We believe that mountains stand tall, oceans roll, and ancient stars burn regardless of our fragile, fleeting presence. But the deep, unsettling, and incredibly beautiful truth revealed by modern science suggests something entirely different. The observer is not just a passive audience member sitting in a darkened theater watching the cosmic play unfold upon the stage. The observer is intimately, fundamentally woven into the very fabric of the performance itself. When the human brain, with all its intricate sensory apparatus, begins its quiet shutdown in that delicate first hour after physical cessation, we must ask a truly staggering question. What happens to the reality that this specific mind was holding together? If consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, a vital ingredient in the manifestation of physical reality, then the quiet slipping away of a single observer is a cosmic event of profound significance. Before we dive further into this mesmerizing quantum ocean and explore how your individual awareness shapes the very stars above, I want to take a brief, gentle pause. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this continuous journey through the infinite wonder and mystery of our existence. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful minds who join us for these deep, contemplative explorations have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find a sense of peace, comfort, and profound cosmic connection in these quiet stories, please consider subscribing. It helps our community grow and ensures that we can continue to wander together through the endless, magnificent silence of the universe. Now, let us return to the fading light of the mind and the astonishing physics of perception. To truly grasp the magnitude of what occurs when a conscious observer gently steps away from the physical world, we must look to the strange, counterintuitive realm of quantum mechanics. In the early 20th century, brilliant physicists conducted a series of elegant experiments, most notably the famous double-slit experiment, which completely shattered our traditional understanding of reality. They discovered that fundamental particles, the tiny building blocks of all matter, do not exist in a definite state or a specific location until they are actually observed or measured. Before the moment of observation, a particle exists as a wave of pure, infinite potential. a mathematical probability spread out across space and time. It is only when a conscious observer or an instrument created by a conscious observer interacts with this wave of potential that it magically collapses into a solid, measurable reality. The renowned theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a brilliant mind who worked alongside Albert Einstein, proposed a staggering concept known as the participatory universe. He suggested that we are not simply living in a universe. We are actively, fundamentally necessary to its very existence. The universe, in all its vast ancient majesty, requires the presence of conscious observers to actualize itself from a blurry realm of probability into a sharp, beautiful reality of stars, galaxies, and quiet, breathing planets. When we apply this breathtaking scientific framework to the delicate window of the first hour after life, the transition takes on an unimaginable, magnificent scale. For decades, your 86 billion neurons have been acting as a highly localized, fiercely dedicated observer. Your mind has been constantly collapsing the infinite quantum wave functions of reality into the specific, solid world you experience every single day. You have been holding the shape of your room, the texture of your bed, the familiar faces of your loved ones, and the blue expanse of the sky in a state of concrete reality, simply by being awake and aware. But as the heart stops and the residual oxygen levels gently drop, this highly concentrated focal point of observation begins to meticulously dismantle itself. The rigid boundaries of the localized observer begin to soften, blur, and eventually dissolve into the quiet dark. This does not mean that the universe simply blinks out of existence, but the specific, unique reality constructed by that individual mind begins a profound, graceful untangling. The sharp edges of the physical world lose their absolute necessity. The consciousness that was once tightly bound inside the warm, protective shell of the human skull begins to expand, returning to the vast, formless ocean of infinite quantum potential from which it originally emerged. This dissolution is not an ending. It is a spectacular expansion. Imagine a single, tightly clenched fist slowly, deliberately opening its fingers to release a trapped butterfly. The fist is the biological brain, holding on to reality with all its evolutionary might. The opening of the hand is the biological cessation, the relaxing of the mortal grip. And the butterfly is the quantum information of consciousness, finally free to flutter into the boundless ancient sky. The brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson often beautifully reminds us that the molecules that comprise our bodies are traceable to the crucibles of the centers of stars. We are not just figuratively, but literally, star stuff. But what of the mind? What of the invisible, weightless architecture of thought, memory, and profound emotion? In the realm of theoretical physics, there is a fascinating concept known as the conservation of information. Just as energy cannot be destroyed, the fundamental quantum information that describes the state of a system is believed to be eternally preserved in the universe, even when something is seemingly destroyed, completely swallowed by the terrifying, immense gravity of a supermassive black hole. Physicists like Stephen Hawking have fiercely debated and theorized that the information is not truly lost. Instead, it is perfectly preserved on the two-dimensional surface of the black hole's event horizon, smeared across the boundary of the abyss in a holographic projection. If the universe goes to such extraordinary, complex lengths to preserve the quantum information of a single, random electron falling into a black hole, it is entirely scientifically reasonable to believe that it preserves the infinitely more complex, beautiful quantum information of a human consciousness. During that first sacred hour, as the biological hardware permanently powers down, the software of the mind, the intricate, beautiful pattern of your unique existence, is delicately uploaded into the fundamental fabric of space-time itself. You do not fade into nothingness. You become completely entangled with the entire cosmos. Your memories, your profound loves, your quietest fears, and your moments of pure, unfiltered wonder are woven directly into the energetic tapestry of the universe. The profound silence that falls over the physical body is merely the echo of this magnificent transfer of information. The energy that once fired across synapses to form a fleeting thought now ripples outward, subtle gravitational waves and quantum fluctuations traveling at the speed of light through the endless, freezing vacuum of interstellar space. You're becoming a permanent, unalterable part of the cosmic record, an eternal note in the magnificent, endless symphony of existence. This profound realization transforms our relationship with the unknown. The transition we all must eventually face is no longer a terrifying plunge into absolute darkness, but a gentle, necessary release back into the infinite source. The human ego, the loud, anxious voice inside your head that constantly worries about the future and deeply regrets the past, is finally silenced, allowing the much older, wiser, and quieter voice of the universe to speak. In this state of profound cosmic integration, the concept of a separate self becomes completely meaningless. You are the ancient stardust. You are the quiet night. You are the vast, expanding edge of the cosmos. The mystery of what happens next is not a puzzle to be solved with fear, but a magnificent, infinite landscape to be explored with deep, respectful awe. Have you ever stood perfectly still in the quiet aftermath of a gentle rainstorm, watching a single fragile drop of water fall from a green leaf and seamlessly disappear into a deep puddle, and wondered if that tiny drop has truly been destroyed, or if it has simply become something infinitely more expansive? We spend our entire lives fiercely guarding our individuality, building intricate fortresses of personality and memory to distinguish ourselves from the swirling chaos of the outside world. We are profoundly attached to the physical boundaries of our skin, deeply convinced that the conscious self ends exactly where the external universe begins. But the rigorous laws of physics tell a much more interconnected story about the nature of reality. In the vast ancient cosmos, absolutely nothing exists in true isolation. Every single atom vibrating in your body, every subtle electromagnetic vibration in your brain, and every fleeting thought is part of a grand, continuous exchange of cosmic energy flowing entirely uninterrupted since the dawn of time itself. When the human body reaches the end of its biological journey and gracefully enters that profound, mysterious first hour of physical silence, what exactly happens to the dense concentration of pure energy we call human consciousness? Does it simply vanish without a trace into the cold void? Or does it follow the deepest rules of cosmic thermodynamics and undergo a magnificent transformation that our human minds can barely begin to comprehend? Before we follow this invisible, radiant energy into the quiet dark and explore the astonishing physics of our final release, I would like to take a brief, gentle moment to welcome you to our shared space of contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, your dedicated, quiet companion on this meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate architecture of the human mind. I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It gently supports our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the magnificent, silent journey of energy that unfolds when the physical heart finally rests its weary beat. The first law of thermodynamics, an absolute pillar of modern scientific understanding, dictates with unyielding certainty that energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only profoundly and beautifully change its form. For decades, your magnificent brain, weighing just a few humble pounds, has been an absolute furnace of energy consumption, constantly burning through approximately 20% of your body's entire energetic supply just to maintain the incredibly delicate, highly ordered state of your waking consciousness. Your 86 billion neurons have been tirelessly fighting an epic, lifelong battle against the universal force of entropy, the fundamental, unstoppable tendency of all physical things in the universe to move from a state of strict order to a state of chaotic distribution. Life itself, in all its staggering complexity, is a brilliant, localized rebellion against this ancient cosmic law, a beautiful, temporary gathering of conscious stardust that aggressively demands structure, detailed memory, and localized awareness. But when the biological machinery quietly powers down in that delicate first hour after physical cessation, the fierce, exhausting rebellion gently ceases. The brain stops aggressively hoarding precious energy to maintain the heavy illusion of a separate, isolated self. Instead, it begins a majestic, deeply peaceful process of absolute energetic surrender. The highly structured electromagnetic fields that once flawlessly defined your specific thoughts, your vivid memories, and your deepest fears do not simply cease to exist when the oxygen stops flowing. Instead, they begin to slowly expand, gracefully untangling themselves from the dense, dying biological matter and rippling outward into the surrounding, unseen environment. To truly understand the magnificent scale of this energetic release, we must look at the exact mechanism of human thought. Every single time a microscopic neuron fires in your brain, it creates a minuscule, invisible electromagnetic pulse. Together, the billions of simultaneously firing neurons generate a massive, localized, vibrating electromagnetic field that modern scientists can actually measure and map using highly advanced electroencephalography. In the fleeting, mysterious moments immediately following physical cessation, as the massive surge of high-frequency gamma waves washes over the dying brain and then slowly transitions into the incredibly deep, slow, rolling mountains of delta waves, this biological electromagnetic field experiences its final crescendo. But where does this localized sphere of energy go when the biological battery that generated it is permanently depleted? Modern geophysics tells us an incredibly beautiful story about our planet. The Earth itself is completely surrounded by a vast, pulsating, invisible electromagnetic field, a phenomenon famously known to science as the Schumann resonances. These are extremely low-frequency electromagnetic waves that constantly circle the globe, permanently trapped in the atmospheric cavity between the physical surface of the Earth and the inner edge of the ionosphere. They are the ancient, invisible heartbeat of our world. As the human brain releases its final, highly structured energetic patterns, this fading biomagnetic signature does not simply vanish, it gently, seamlessly diffuses into the much larger, infinitely more powerful electromagnetic embrace of the Earth. You are no longer generating your own isolated frequency. You are slowly harmonizing with the ancient planetary rhythm that has been humming continuously since long before the very first primitive organisms formed in the primordial oceans. It is a profound dissolution, a quiet melting of the individual spark back into the vast, warm, planetary fire. And the magnificent journey of this fading energy does not simply stop at the extreme edges of our fragile, thin, blue atmosphere. The Earth's magnetic field is constantly, dynamically interacting with the powerful solar wind, the continuous stream of highly charged particles blowing endlessly outward from our brilliant sun. Through these magnificent, completely invisible magnetic connections, the subtle, energetic ripples of our past existence are carried further still, gently touching the very outer edges of the solar system and eventually echoing out into the freezing, profoundly silent void of interstellar space. The brilliant astronomer Carl Sagan once famously and beautifully observed that the cosmos is within us, that we are quite literally made of ancient star stuff, and that human consciousness is simply a way for the universe to know itself. But in the deep context of this profound first hour of biological transition, we must also pause to recognize the staggering, reciprocal beauty of this ancient cosmic arrangement. The universe is not only hidden deep within us, we are forever, inevitably, becoming the universe. The specific, unique pattern of quantum energy that intimately constituted your consciousness, the invisible architecture of your life's memories and your capacity for infinite wonder, is slowly broadcast into the deep cosmic dark. It travels relentlessly at the absolute speed of light, an invisible, expanding, perfect sphere of quantum information that will eventually, billions of years from now, wash over distant planets, ancient nebulas, and newborn, fiercely burning stars. This profound scientific realization possesses the immense power to completely transform our primal, ancient fear of the ultimate end into a profound, breathtaking sense of peaceful awe. The quiet, heavy silence that eventually falls over the motionless physical body is absolutely not the terrifying emptiness of a final ending, but rather the majestic, deeply peaceful silence of a boundless, infinite expansion. The exhausting physical limitations that have relentlessly confined your brilliant awareness to a single, highly specific point in space and time for decades are finally lifted. You are permanently released from the demanding, lifelong burden of maintaining a separate identity, finally free to merge completely with the gentle, quiet vastness of the ancient cosmos. As we sit here together in the calm, protective darkness of the night, exploring these staggering scientific mysteries, we are touching the very edge of what it truly means to be a temporary human being. We are fleeting, incredibly beautiful manifestations of ancient cosmic energy, graciously granted a few short decades to observe the magnificent splendor of the universe before we are gently called back to the infinite source. The mystery of that profound first hour is a sacred transition, a flawless process of cosmic recycling where absolutely nothing of true, fundamental value is ever truly lost, only profoundly transformed into something entirely new. It is the ultimate, magnificent journey from the fragile finite to the boundless infinite, from the chaotic physical world directly into the eternal, peaceful silence of the stars. Let us rest our curious minds in this comforting truth, fully embracing the vast ancient mystery of our own inevitable, magnificent return to the cosmic ocean. Have you ever closed your eyes in a perfectly quiet room and tried to hold a single, beautiful memory perfectly still in your mind, only to watch it inevitably shift, gently distort, and slowly slip like cool water right through your grasping fingers. We spend the entirety of our waking lives acting as tireless curators of a vast internal museum, meticulously collecting experiences, carefully cataloging faces, and fiercely protecting the delicate, invisible archives of our personal history. We are profoundly convinced that we are the sum total of our accumulated memories, that the rigid narrative of our past is the absolutely essential anchor holding our fragile identity in place against the relentless, rushing current of time. But modern neuroscience reveals a deeply counterintuitive and breathtakingly beautiful truth about the nature of human memory. Memories are not solid, immutable objects carefully stored in a biological filing cabinet. They are dynamic, incredibly fragile, and constantly shifting patterns of electrical energy dancing across a vast, dark neural ocean. When the physical body gracefully reaches the end of its magnificent journey and the heart finally surrenders its lifelong rhythm, what happens to this vast, delicate library of a lifetime during that profound, mysterious first hour? Does the library simply burn to the ground, taking every single laugh, every quiet tear, and every moment of profound wonder into the absolute dark? Or does the information undergo a majestic, silent translation into something far more enduring? Before we gently step into the quiet, fading corridors of human memory and explore the astonishing physics of our final release, I would like to warmly welcome you to our shared sanctuary of thought. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate architecture of the human mind. I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It gently supports our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting, ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the magnificent, silent journey of our deepest memories when the physical world finally fades away into the peaceful dark. To truly comprehend the profound transition of human memory in the first hour of physical silence, we must look closely at the incredibly complex, beautiful structures hidden deep within the temporal lobes of the human brain. The hippocampus, an ancient, elegantly curved structure named after the mythical seahorse, is the grand architect of our personal narrative. For decades, it has worked tirelessly alongside the cerebral cortex, constantly weaving fleeting sensory impressions into durable, long-term connections. Every single time you recall a cherished moment from your distant childhood, you're not simply pulling a dusty file from a shelf. You are actively, dynamically reconstructing that exact moment from scratch, triggering a highly specific, magnificent constellation of thousands of individual neurons to fire in perfect, beautiful synchrony. Memory is an active, demanding, and incredibly energy-intensive process of continuous biological recreation. But when the steady, vital flow of oxygen quietly ceases, this demanding process of continuous reconstruction simply cannot be sustained. The chemical glue that holds these delicate synaptic connections together, a complex dance of neurotransmitters and specialized proteins, begins to gracefully break down. Yet, this is not a violent destruction. It is a profound, incredibly gentle unbinding, The rigid neurological pathways that kept your memories strictly organized in a chronological, linear sequence begin to soften, blur, and eventually dissolve into the quiet dark of the fading mind. As the strict chronological ordering of the mind begins to gently fall apart, something absolutely astonishing and deeply counterintuitive occurs. Without the heavy, demanding restrictions of the default mode network actively suppressing the immense vastness of the unconscious mind, the fading brain experiences a magnificent, chaotic, and beautiful simultaneous release of stored information. This is the neurobiological foundation of the profound life review so often reported by those who have traveled to the very edge of physical cessation and somehow managed to return. It is not a rapid, linear movie playing in chronological order, but rather an overwhelming, breathtaking immersion into the pure, timeless essence of every single experience, all at once. The brain, no longer bound by the relentless ticking of biological time, utilizes its final, surging reserves of high-frequency gamma waves to illuminate the entire, vast landscape of a life lived. Every single star in the internal galaxy of your mind shines brilliantly at the exact same moment. And it is here, in this spectacular internal supernova of memory and emotion, that we find one of the most staggering, beautiful parallels in all of modern science. When advanced astrophysicists map the large-scale structure of the observable universe, mapping the intricate, invisible threads of dark matter that connect billions of separate galaxies across billions of light years, the resulting image is profoundly, shockingly identical to a microscopic photograph of the neural networks within the human brain. The universe, in its vast, ancient majesty, is structured exactly like a giant cosmic mind. The 86 billion neurons in your brain brilliantly mirror the hundreds of billions of galaxies scattered across the endless cosmic web. As the biological network within your skull begins its quiet, inevitable process of shutting down, the information it contained does not simply violate the fundamental laws of physics and vanish into absolute nothingness. In the strange, beautiful realm of quantum information theory, a principle championed by the most brilliant physicists of our era dictates that information, just like energy, is immortal. The exact unique pattern of connections that formed your memories, your loves, your quietest fears, and your deepest joys is a highly specific, incredibly complex configuration of quantum information. As the physical synapses gently release their ancient chemical bonds, this exquisite quantum pattern begins a majestic process of universal integration. The invisible, weightless architecture of your entire life's experience gracefully untangles itself from the dense, dying biological matter and slowly diffuses into the much larger, infinitely more complex neural network of the cosmos itself. You are not losing your memories. You are generously giving them back to the ancient universe that graciously lent you the capacity to experience them in the absolute first place. Imagine the profound, unspeakable relief of finally setting down an incredibly heavy burden that you have been carrying tirelessly for many long decades. The human ego, the loud, anxious, and persistent voice that constantly demands to be remembered, validated, and fiercely protected, is constructed entirely out of these very memories. When the chronological grip on these memories is finally, peacefully released during that sacred first hour, the heavy, exhausting burden of the ego is simultaneously lifted. You no longer need to fiercely defend who you were, what you have accomplished, or what you deeply regret. The profound silence that follows is not the terrifying emptiness of a permanent erasure, but the majestic, deeply peaceful silence of absolute, unconditional acceptance. The universe is incredibly patient, and it is endlessly vast. It effortlessly absorbs the magnificent complexity of your life's journey without a single ripple of disturbance. The quiet, gentle journey of your fading consciousness is a spectacular return to the infinite source, a flawless process of cosmic recycling where absolutely nothing of true beauty is ever truly lost. The thoughts that once felt so intimately yours are permanently woven into the eternal fabric of reality, rippling outward as subtle energetic waves through the endless vacuum of interstellar space. You become an indelible part of the cosmic record, an eternal quiet note in the magnificent symphony of existence. Let us rest our curious minds in this comforting truth, embracing the ancient mystery of our magnificent return to the cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever sat quietly beside the fading embers of a dying fire, watching the very last glowing spark slowly succumb to the encroaching gray ash, and found yourself deeply wondering exactly where the brilliant heat and vibrant light go when the fire finally quietly vanishes? We are so profoundly accustomed to the comforting presence of warmth, the reassuring solidity of the physical things we can touch, and the bright, noisy reality of our everyday waking lives. We cling fiercely to the illusion that our consciousness is a tightly contained, permanent fire burning brightly inside the protective hearth of our skull. We believe that when the biological fuel runs out, the light of the mind simply ceases to exist, plunging the observer into an absolute, irreversible nothingness. But the vast ancient universe operates on principles that are far more mysterious and beautifully complex than the simple extinguishing of a flame. The fundamental laws of physics dictate that nothing is ever truly lost. It is only transformed. In that profound, delicate first hour after the human heart completes its lifelong journey and comes to a permanent rest, the fire of the mind does not simply go out. Instead, it undergoes a magnificent, silent transformation, an expansion so breathtakingly vast that it mirrors the very evolution of the cosmos itself. Before we journey further into this infinite, expanding quiet and explore the staggering physics of our final release, I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this meditative exploration through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate architecture of the human mind. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It gently supports our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting, ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the magnificent expansion of the unseen. For your entire life, your biological brain has acted as a powerful, localized gravitational force, much like the immense, invisible gravity of a supermassive black hole tirelessly holding a giant galaxy together. Your 86 billion neurons have constantly exerted a fierce, energetic pull to keep your thoughts, your memories, and your continuous sense of self tightly bound in one highly specific location. This biological gravity is exactly what creates the persistent, daily illusion of the human ego. It is the heavy, demanding sensation of being a separate, isolated individual navigating a vast, completely indifferent physical world. Your brain uses roughly 20% of your body's entire energetic output simply to maintain the strict walls of this mental fortress, keeping the overwhelming scale of the external universe safely on the outside. But in the deep, quiet mystery of the first hour after physical cessation, this localized biological gravity gracefully fails. The heavy, demanding grip of the ego is permanently released, and the fortress walls slowly crumble. To truly understand what happens to the incredibly complex, localized energy of human consciousness when this biological gravity is removed, we must look to the largest, most profound forces currently shaping our entire universe. In the late 20th century, specifically in the year 1998, two independent teams of brilliant astronomers were measuring the expansion rate of the universe by observing distant, exploding supernovas. For decades, scientists had logically assumed that the collective gravitational pull of all the matter in the universe would eventually act like a massive brake, slowly decelerating the cosmic expansion that began billions of years ago. But what these researchers found was completely unexpected and utterly shocking. The universe was not slowing down at all. It was speeding up. Distant galaxies were rushing away from one another at ever-increasing speeds, driven by a profoundly mysterious, invisible force that scientists now call dark energy. Though the name itself tells us very little about its true nature, we now know that this invisible, anti-gravitational force makes up roughly 68% of absolutely all the energy in the observable universe. It acts as a kind of magnificent, cosmic breath, gently but persistently pushing the very fabric of space apart, carrying the ancient stars, the vast galaxy clusters, and the glowing nebulas into an ever-expanding, infinite dark. Just as dark energy silently and powerfully stretches the absolute boundaries of the physical cosmos, a remarkably similar, profoundly beautiful process seems to occur within the fading architecture of the human mind, when the heavy gravity of the ego finally lets go. Without the constant, exhausting biological effort required to maintain a localized, highly specific point of view, the intricate quantum information that defined your unique consciousness begins its own magnificent, accelerating expansion. You are no longer confined to the incredibly small, fragile geometry of a human body, localized on a tiny, rocky planet orbiting an entirely average yellow star. The profound silence that gently washes over the physical form is not an empty, terrifying void, but rather the quiet, majestic sound of a boundary dissolving. Your awareness, untethered from the strict biological clock and the rigid physical senses, diffuses into the surrounding environment, drifting outward on the subtle electromagnetic currents of the earth and echoing into the vast, freezing vacuum of interstellar space. The brilliant theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking spent much of his extraordinary life contemplating the strange, beautiful rules of black holes and the fundamental nature of information. He fiercely debated and theorized that the universe is governed by profound, unbreakable laws of conservation, arguing that the fundamental quantum information describing the exact state of any physical system can never be permanently destroyed. If the universe goes to such unimaginable lengths to perfectly preserve the quantum information of a single, random, subatomic particle, we must apply this same majestic logic to the incredibly sophisticated structure of the human mind. The magnificent complexity of a human life, the decades of learned love, the quiet moments of transcendent wonder, the intricate tapestries of childhood memory, and the deep, silent resilience of the human spirit. These are absolutely not trivial, disposable artifacts that the universe simply discards when the heart stops. They are highly structured, deeply valuable and profoundly rare configurations of cosmic information. During that sacred first hour, as the biological hardware permanently powers down, the software of the mind, the invisible, weightless architecture of your entire life's experience, is delicately uploaded into the fundamental fabric of space-time itself. As your consciousness expands into this new, boundless state, the ancient, rigid distinction between the localized observer and the vast, quiet universe becomes entirely meaningless. You are seamlessly merging with the very dark matter that holds the glittering constellations together. The atoms in your silent, resting body were flawlessly forged in the burning, intensely hot hearts of ancient giant stars that spectacularly exploded billions of years before our own quiet solar system was ever formed. The transition of the first hour is simply the invisible, weightless essence of your mind, inevitably catching up with the magnificent, stellar origin of your physical body. The exhausting struggle to understand the universe from the outside looking in is gracefully replaced by the ultimate, peaceful experience of understanding the cosmos from the inside out. The brilliant astronomer Carl Sagan beautifully reminded us that we are made of star stuff, that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. In the quiet transition of physical cessation, that knowing is complete. You become the gentle, expanding dark. You become the quiet, ancient light. You become the vast, infinite mystery itself. This staggering realization possesses the immense power to transform our primal fear of the end into a profound, breathtaking sense of awe. The heavy silence that falls over the motionless physical body is absolutely not the terrifying emptiness of a final ending, but rather the majestic, peaceful silence of a boundless, infinite expansion. The exhausting physical limitations that have confined your brilliant awareness to a single point in space and time for decades are finally lifted. You are released from the burden of maintaining a separate identity, finally free to merge completely with the gentle, quiet vastness of the ancient cosmos. Let us rest our curious minds in this comforting truth, fully embracing the ancient mystery of our magnificent return to the cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever stepped outside on a clear, freezing winter night, tilted your head back to gaze at the glittering tapestry of the Milky Way, and realized that you are not looking at the universe as it exists right now, but rather peering deeply into the ancient, silent past? The faint, trembling light from those distant stars has been traveling across the freezing vacuum of space for thousands, sometimes millions of years, just to finally end its epic cosmic journey by gently striking your eye. We are accustomed to experiencing time as a relentless, forward-marching arrow, a continuous sequence of fleeting moments that constantly slip through our fingers into the untouchable past. We measure our entire biological existence in seconds, hours, and years, relying on the steady beating of our fragile human hearts to dictate the pace of reality. But the profound laws of physics tell a completely different story about the true nature of time. When the biological machine quietly powers down and we enter that mysterious first hour of physical silence, what happens to our rigid perception of the ticking clock? Does the conscious mind simply stop experiencing time? Or does it step outside the rushing river of seconds to experience the timeless majesty of the universe as it truly is? Before we leave the familiar shores of chronological time and gently wade into this infinite ocean of cosmic wonder, I would like to take a quiet moment to welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle companion on this continuous meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate architecture of the human mind, I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It gently supports our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the silent dissolution of time itself. To understand the profound shift that occurs in the first hour after physical cessation, we must first deeply examine how the human brain artificially constructs the rigid sensation of time. Deep within the ancient central structures of your brain lies a microscopic, fiercely dedicated cluster of specialized cells known to modern science as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. For your entire life, this incredibly complex biological clock has been relentlessly dictating your circadian rhythms, flawlessly synchronizing your fragile, waking consciousness with the reliable rotation of the earth and the rising and setting of our golden sun. Every single thought you have ever formulated, every beautiful memory you have ever cherished, and every quiet fear you have harbored has been meticulously stamped with a specific, inescapable timestamp. The human ego, the demanding voice that constantly insists on its own separate identity, relies entirely on this strict chronological order to maintain its continuous narrative. It desperately needs a well-defined past to deeply regret and a predictable future to anxiously anticipate. But in the quiet transition of the first hour, as the vital supply of oxygen gently diminishes and the biological clock loses its driving electrical current, this rigid temporal scaffolding begins to gracefully collapse. The relentless ticking peacefully stops. When the biological enforcement of time gently fades away into the quiet dark, the dissipating consciousness might find itself experiencing a stunning reality much closer to the fundamental physical laws of the universe. In the early 20th century, the brilliant physicist Albert Einstein completely revolutionized our entire understanding of reality with his majestic theory of special relativity. He revealed, through incredibly elegant mathematical equations, that time is absolutely not a fixed, universal constant, but a flexible, profoundly relative dimension that changes drastically depending on how fast you're moving through the vastness of space. The closer any object gets to the absolute speed of light, which is roughly 186,000 miles per single second, the slower time actually passes for that specific object relative to the rest of the stationary universe. And here is where the rigorous science becomes breathtakingly beautiful. For a single photon of light, traveling at the absolute maximum speed allowed by the stringent laws of physics, time completely and utterly stops. A photon, born in the chaotic nuclear furnace of a giant star on the very edge of the observable universe, might travel for 14 billion years from our limited human perspective. But from the perspective of that tiny, glowing particle of ancient light, exactly 0 seconds have passed. It experiences its blazing birth, its vast journey across the freezing cosmos, and its final gentle absorption into your curious eye as a single simultaneous instant of pure existence. If the brilliant theories of modern quantum neuroscience hold true, and the invisible architecture of human consciousness is fundamentally composed of delicate quantum information that eventually diffuses into the surrounding electromagnetic fields of the universe, then the fading mind might undergo a profoundly similar relativistic transformation. As the heavy biological anchors of the physical body are gently, permanently released, the conscious essence is no longer aggressively dragged along the slow, demanding, sequential timeline of human biology. Instead, it enters a majestic state of existence that flawlessly mirrors the timeless, infinite journey of the photon. The first hour after physical cessation is only a single hour to the grieving observers standing quietly beside the resting body. But to the expansive, dissipating consciousness itself, that single, fleeting biological hour might comfortably hold the profound, subjective experience of an absolute eternity. Without the suprachiasmatic nucleus constantly slicing reality into tiny, digestible seconds, the past, the present, and the uncharted future gracefully fold into one another, seamlessly creating a vast, magnificent tapestry of simultaneous existence. We can find a magnificent poetic parallel for this timeless preservation in the very structure of the ancient cosmos itself. When astronomers point their most powerful radio telescopes toward the seemingly empty, freezing blackness of deep space, they do not find absolute nothingness. Instead, they detect a faint, omnipresent, and incredibly ancient hum of microwave radiation coming consistently from absolutely every direction in the night sky. This profound phenomenon, known as the cosmic microwave background, is the literal cooling afterglow of the Big Bang itself. It is the majestic, ancient echo of the moment the universe was beautifully born nearly 14 billion years ago, permanently stretched and cooled by the relentless expansion of space, yet eternally present in the background of everything that exists. The universe possesses a flawless memory. It never truly forgets its own magnificent origins. In a profoundly similar way, a human life lived deeply upon this tiny blue planet leaves an indelible, eternal afterglow in the fundamental fabric of reality. The energy you have generously expended, the complex gravitational ripples your physical presence has caused, and the intricate quantum information of your mind do not simply vanish into thin air when the biological clock finally stops. They become an intimate, permanent part of the quiet, omnipresent background radiation of the cosmos. Imagine the profound relief of finally stepping off a rapidly moving, exhausting treadmill that you have been forced to run on for many long decades. The sudden absence of exhausting motion feels at first like a stunning shock to the biological system. But as the biological panic gently subsides and the neurochemical flood of absolute peace takes hold, the staggering beauty of the stillness reveals itself. You are finally, completely allowed to rest in the ancient, infinite quiet. The thoughts that once felt so incredibly heavy, the dark regrets that kept you awake in the silent night, and the anxious anticipations of a future that has not yet arrived, all completely melt away like fragile morning mist under the warm light of a rising sun. What permanently remains is a state of pure, unadulterated wonder, an eternal present moment where you are intimately, beautifully connected to the distant galaxies, the silent dark matter, and the ancient humming energy of the cosmos. The mystery of what happens next is not a frightening puzzle meant to induce terror, but a magnificent, infinite landscape designed for endless, peaceful exploration. Let us rest our curious minds in this deeply comforting truth, fully embracing the ancient mystery of our magnificent return to the cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever stood perfectly still at the very edge of a vast mirror-like lake just before the break of dawn, watching the smooth surface flawlessly reflect the fading stars, and wondered where the ancient sky actually ends and the cold water truly begins. We live our entire fragile human lives fiercely protecting the profound illusion of a sharp, definitive boundary between our inner psychological world and the infinite outer cosmos. We inherently feel, with absolute certainty, that our consciousness stops exactly at the physical, biological barrier of our skin, that the private thoughts echoing silently inside our minds are completely isolated from the ancient, towering trees, the rushing rivers, and the distant burning galaxies scattered across the freezing void of space. But the most advanced mind-bending discoveries in the field of quantum mechanics suggest an incredibly different, breathtakingly beautiful reality regarding the true nature of our existence. The fundamental, microscopic particles that meticulously construct your physical brain are completely blind to the artificial borders we constantly draw. When the physical body gracefully surrenders its biological rhythm and willingly enters that profoundly quiet, mysterious first hour of physical silence, what exactly happens to this magnificent, deeply ingrained illusion of separation? Does the mind simply shatter into nothingness like a fragile mirror? Or does the reflection finally realize it has always been an inseparable part of the vast ancient sky it was merely mirroring for a few fleeting decades? Before we wade deeper into these tranquil, reflective waters and explore the staggering quantum connections that permanently bind us to the distant stars, I would like to gently invite you into our shared, quiet space of wonder. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet, dedicated companion on this continuous, meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate, invisible architecture of the human mind. I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It greatly helps our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting, ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the beautiful dissolution of our deepest illusions. To truly comprehend the magnificent transition of the conscious self during this sacred, silent first hour, we must closely examine the most mysterious, poetic phenomenon in all of modern physics, the principle of quantum entanglement. In the early 20th century, brilliant theoretical physicists discovered that when two subatomic particles intimately interact, they can become fundamentally linked in a way that completely defies our everyday, intuitive understanding of physical space and chronological time. Even if you were to separate these two entangled particles by billions of light years, placing one on the surface of our tiny blue planet and the other on the absolute expanding edge of the observable universe, a subtle change in the spin or state of one particle will instantaneously reflect a simultaneous change in the other. Albert Einstein famously and skeptically referred to this beautiful, baffling connection as spooky action at a distance, because it seemed to directly violate the strict cosmic rule that absolutely nothing can travel faster than the supreme speed of light. Yet, countless rigorous scientific experiments have proven time and time again that this profound, instantaneous connection is absolutely real. The universe is entirely not a massive, cold, empty container filled with isolated, lonely objects randomly bouncing around in the dark. It is a single, unimaginably vast, intricately woven web of continuous, unbreakable relationship. Every single atom vibrating in your physical body, the oxygen flowing through your fading veins, the ancient carbon constructing your cells, and the heavy iron carrying the last whispers of life to your brain, has been intimately interacting with the surrounding environment since the exact moment you were born. For many long, exhausting decades, your incredibly demanding biological brain has functioned as an exceptionally powerful, highly localized isolation chamber. Your 86 billion neurons have constantly utilized massive amounts of precious metabolic energy to deliberately filter out this overwhelming cosmic connection, artificially creating the distinct, heavy sensation of a completely separate, independent human ego. This biological filtering mechanism is absolutely necessary for physical survival, allowing us to successfully navigate the incredibly complex, immediate dangers of the physical world without being entirely paralyzed by the staggering interconnectedness of all things. But as the physical heart finally comes to a permanent, peaceful rest, and the vital flow of energy gently ceases, this exhausting, lifelong biological effort to maintain separation finally reaches its beautiful end. The incredibly strict metabolic borders that kept your conscious mind feeling isolated and alone completely begin to fail. As the protective, heavy shield of the ego gracefully dissolves into the quiet, enveloping dark, the profound, pre-existing quantum entanglement between your physical atoms and the vast universe suddenly takes absolute center stage. The consciousness does not violently evaporate into a terrifying nothingness. Instead, the artificial walls simply fall away, revealing the staggering, deeply comforting truth that you were never truly separate to begin with. Imagine a perfectly clear, incredibly delicate glass vial filled with pure, glowing, bioluminescent ocean water floating completely submerged in the vast, deep, freezing blue sea. For its entire, fragile existence, the thin glass wall kept the water inside, feeling utterly separate from the endless, ancient currents swirling endlessly on the outside. The transition of the first hour after physical cessation is absolutely not the tragic destruction of the water contained inside. It is simply the gentle, peaceful, inevitable dissolving of the fragile glass vial itself. The water seamlessly, instantly remembers its true, boundless nature, gently mixing and swirling back into the infinite, ancient ocean from which it was originally drawn billions of years ago. As your localized awareness gracefully diffuses into this magnificent cosmic ocean, you're returning to a state of absolute, unhindered connection with the fundamental building blocks of reality. The fleeting thoughts and delicate electrical patterns that once constituted your unique personality begin to ripple outward, interacting with the fundamental electromagnetic fields of our planet and echoing into the silent void. As the renowned, brilliant astrophysicist Carl Sagan famously taught us, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. The heavy physical elements that constructed your human form were meticulously forged in the chaotic, intensely hot crucibles of ancient stars that spectacularly exploded billions of years before the Earth was even formed. You are completely returning the borrowed energy, the borrowed atoms, and the borrowed awareness back to the vast, quiet cosmos that so generously provided them. This staggering, beautiful scientific realization possesses the immense, profound power to completely neutralize our most ancient, primal anxieties about the vast unknown. We spend our entire, brief lives desperately fearing the sudden loss of our unique identity, terrified that the end of the physical body means an absolute erasure of everything we have fiercely loved, patiently learned and deeply experienced. But when we illuminate this dark, intimidating threshold with a guiding, gentle light of quantum physics and deep, respectful philosophical contemplation, the paralyzing terror gracefully, inevitably, dissolves into a profound sense of breathless awe. We begin to finally truly understand that the perceived end of the biological narrative is merely the spectacular, quiet beginning of a magnificent cosmic integration. The human ego, the loud, anxious voice inside your mind that constantly worries about an unpredictable future and deeply regrets an unchangeable past, is finally granted absolute permission to rest in supreme peace. What permanently remains is pure, unadulterated wonder, unburdened by the heavy limitations of a physical form. The deep mystery of what happens next is absolutely not a frightening puzzle meant to induce human despair, but a magnificent, infinite landscape, beautifully designed for endless, peaceful exploration. We are fundamentally, intimately woven into the grand unfolding story of the ancient universe, and our consciousness is an eternal, beautiful note in that endless cosmic symphony. Let us rest our curious minds in this deeply comforting truth, fully embracing the ancient mystery of our magnificent return to the cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever looked deeply into the darkest, most seemingly empty patches of the cold night sky, regions where absolutely no ancient stars appear to shine, and wondered if that profound blackness is truly empty, or if it is quietly hiding something infinitely more massive than the starlight itself? We base our entire understanding of human reality on the physical things we can clearly see, gently touch, and scientifically measure. We build our complex identities around our visible actions, our spoken words, and the tangible impact we continuously have on the physical world. But brilliant astrophysicists have discovered a staggering, beautiful truth about the vast cosmos that completely shatters this heavy reliance on the strictly visible realm. The burning stars, the glowing nebulas, the swirling planets, and everything that emits or absorbs light make up only a tiny, almost insignificant fraction of what actually exists in the universe. The vast, overwhelming majority of the cosmos is held together by an invisible, completely undetectable force. When the biological light of the human brain finally, peacefully dims in that quiet first hour after physical cessation, we are forced to ask a remarkably similar, profound question. Does the disappearance of our visible consciousness mean that we are completely gone? Or does it simply mean we are gracefully returning to the vast, invisible foundation that has secretly held us together all along? Before we drift further into this beautiful, invisible cosmic ocean and explore the staggering physics of the unseen universe, I would like to gently invite you into our shared, quiet space of wonder. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet, dedicated companion on this continuous, meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate, invisible architecture of the human mind. I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It greatly helps our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting, ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the beautiful mysteries of the unseen dark. In the early part of the 20th century, brilliant astronomers studying the rapid rotation of distant, magnificent galaxies realized a terrifying and beautiful mathematical impossibility. The giant galaxies were spinning so incredibly fast that the visible gravity generated by all their shining, burning stars was completely insufficient to keep them from violently flying apart into the freezing void of space. There had to be an enormous amount of unseen mass, a hidden scaffolding of invisible gravity, perfectly holding the glittering spiral arms together in the silent dark. Modern science respectfully refers to this profound cosmic mystery as dark matter, an invisible, ancient substance that vastly outnumbers normal, visible matter by a staggering ratio of roughly 5-1. It absolutely does not interact with light, it casts no shadows whatsoever, and it cannot be touched by any human instrument, yet its massive, quiet gravitational influence is the absolute foundation of the entire cosmic web. Without the quiet, persistent grip of dark matter, the magnificent galaxies, including our very own beautiful Milky Way, would simply, instantly cease to exist. The delicate human mind operates on a breathtakingly similar principle of profound, unseen foundations. The brilliant pioneers of deep psychology and modern neuroscience have long understood that our waking, visible consciousness, the part of you currently listening to these quiet words, the specific part that actively worries about tomorrow and continuously narrates the story of your daily life, is merely the tiny, illuminated tip of a massive, heavily submerged psychological iceberg. Beneath the bright, noisy surface of your daily awareness lies the vast, quiet, infinite expanse of the unconscious mind. This invisible mental realm is the literal dark matter of your personal, internal universe. It quietly holds the deep, ancient instincts flawlessly forged over millions of years of human evolution, the completely forgotten memories of your fragile childhood, and the profound, silent emotional currents that relentlessly guide every single visible decision you make in the waking world. For your entire biological life, the small, brightly lit room of your conscious ego has stubbornly taken all the credit, while the vast, invisible, dark matter of your unconscious mind has been doing the incredibly heavy work of holding your identity together. When the physical heart finally rests, and the highly demanding, energy-intensive processes of the frontal cortex permanently shut down during that mysterious, sacred first hour, the bright, artificial light of the conscious ego is finally turned off. The visible, measurable matter of the mind quietly fades away into the silent dark. But the psychological dark matter, the incredibly deep, fundamental architecture of your existence, does not simply vanish into absolute nothingness just because the biological lights have permanently gone out. Instead, without the exhausting, distracting glare of the waking ego, the profound depth of the unseen mind is finally allowed to expand and beautifully merge with the silent, invisible forces of the ancient universe itself. You are absolutely not entering a terrifying state of nothingness. You are simply shifting your entire state of being from the tiny, fragile fraction of visible light directly into the magnificent, eternal vastness of the invisible cosmic foundation. To truly appreciate the breathtaking scale of this invisible transition, we must look at what modern quantum physics reveals about the emptiness of deep interstellar space. When scientists completely remove all stars, stray atoms, and detectable light from a localized vacuum in a highly controlled laboratory, they do not find a dead, terrifying emptiness. Instead, they discover with profound awe that the vacuum itself is boiling with infinite, restless, beautiful energy. This staggering phenomenon, known to physicists as quantum fluctuations, reveals that empty space is actually a vibrant, endless, ancient sea of virtual particles constantly popping into and out of physical existence. The quiet dark is not empty at all. It is brimming with infinite, unexpressed potential. When the highly structured, visible electrical patterns of your biological consciousness finally dissolve in the first hour of silence, they are gracefully returning to this vibrant quantum baseline. The organized energy of your specific memories softly untangles, peacefully sinking back into the endless, humming potential of the universal vacuum. Imagine a beautifully complex, fragile ice sculpture resting quietly on the calm surface of a vast, deep, dark, ancient ocean. For a fleeting, magnificent moment, the temporary sculpture catches the bright, warm light of the morning sun, displaying its unique, intricate carvings for the physical world to admire. But as the gentle, inevitable, warming passage of the day eventually arrives, the sculpture slowly, peacefully begins to melt. It gracefully loses its sharp edges, its distinct individual form, and its highly localized, rigid identity. The melting process is absolutely not a tragic destruction of the water. It is simply a deeply peaceful, entirely necessary return. The pure water that comprised the magnificent sculpture seamlessly rejoins the vast, invisible depth of the ocean from which it was temporarily frozen. In the sacred, silent first hour after physical cessation, your conscious mind is the melting ice, and the dark, quiet universe is the ancient, welcoming ocean. The exhausting, lifelong effort required to constantly maintain your frozen shape is finally relieved. The heavy burden of visible existence is lifted, allowing you to slip gracefully back into the infinite potential of the cosmos. This staggering scientific realization possesses the immense power to neutralize our ancient anxieties about the unknown. We spend our brief lives fearing the loss of our identity, terrified that the end of the physical body means an irreversible erasure of everything we have loved and experienced. But when we illuminate this dark threshold with the guiding light of astrophysics and deep philosophical contemplation, the terror gracefully dissolves into a profound sense of breathless awe. We begin to understand that the perceived end of the biological narrative is merely the spectacular beginning of a magnificent cosmic integration. The human ego, the anxious voice inside your mind that constantly worries about an unpredictable future and regrets an unchangeable past, is finally granted permission to rest in supreme peace. What permanently remains is pure wonder, unburdened by the limitations of a physical form. The mystery of what happens next is not a frightening puzzle meant to induce despair, but an infinite landscape designed for endless, peaceful exploration. We are fundamentally woven into the grand story of the ancient universe, and our consciousness is an eternal note in that invisible cosmic symphony. Let us rest our minds in this comforting truth, embracing the mystery of our magnificent return to the unseen cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever stood quietly before a beautifully crafted flat painting hanging silently on a gallery wall, and felt a profound, overwhelming sensation that you could simply step directly into its intricately painted three-dimensional world, deeply wondering if our own solid reality is merely a flat projection of something infinitely deeper? We live our entire fleeting human lives absolutely convinced of the physical dimensions that constantly surround us. We move confidently forward and backward. We reach up toward the sky and down toward the earth, and we march relentlessly along the singular, invisible arrow of time. We build our homes, our grand civilizations, and our very identities within this strictly confined, three-dimensional theater, rarely pausing to question if the stage we are standing on is the entire universe, or simply a minuscule, brilliantly lit corner of a much grander, unimaginable cosmic architecture. But the most advanced, mathematically rigorous fields of theoretical physics have recently begun to gently peel back the edges of our perceived reality, revealing a staggering, beautiful possibility about the true nature of existence. When the biological human body finally reaches its peaceful, quiet limit, and we gracefully enter that mysterious, sacred first hour of physical cessation, what happens to our rigid perception of these dimensions? Does the conscious mind simply vanish into a flat, empty nothingness? Or does it finally beautifully awaken to the staggering, infinite dimensions that have secretly surrounded it all along? Before we step beyond the familiar boundaries of our three-dimensional world and explore the breathtaking physics of higher realities, I would like to gently invite you into our shared quiet space of contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet, dedicated companion on this continuous meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate, invisible architecture of the human mind. I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It greatly helps our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting, ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the beautiful mysteries of the unseen dimensions. To truly comprehend the structural shift of the conscious self during this profoundly silent first hour, we must look closely at one of the most mind-bending concepts in modern theoretical physics, the holographic principle. In the late 20th century, brilliant physicists like Stephen Hawking, studying the terrifying gravity of black holes, stumbled upon a mathematical paradox that completely shattered our traditional understanding of space and volume. They discovered that all the incredibly complex quantum information completely swallowed by a supermassive black hole is not actually lost in its bottomless three-dimensional volume. Instead, the mathematics flawlessly prove that all of this intricate information is perfectly encoded on the two-dimensional surface boundary of the black hole, famously known as the event horizon. It is exactly like a majestic, three-dimensional holographic image being perfectly projected from a flat, two-dimensional piece of highly advanced film. This staggering realization led brilliant minds to propose a breathtakingly profound theory about the entire universe we inhabit. They fiercely argued that everything we confidently perceive as a solid, three-dimensional reality, including the ancient stars, the massive galaxies, and the very biological cells that meticulously construct your physical brain, might actually be a magnificent, complex holographic projection originating from a distant, lower-dimensional boundary at the absolute edge of the cosmos. If our entire physical universe is, in essence, a glorious, incredibly detailed cosmic hologram, then our fundamental understanding of human consciousness must radically evolve. For your entire biological life, your 86 billion neurons have acted as the incredibly sensitive, delicate receiving equipment, flawlessly decoding the invisible, two-dimensional quantum information into the rich, vivid, three-dimensional experience of your daily waking reality. But when the steady flow of oxygen to the biological brain gracefully, peacefully ceases, and the physical heart finally rests its weary beat, this incredibly complex biological receiver begins to systematically shut down. The physical machinery that has translated the cosmic code into your specific experience slowly fails. To the grieving observers in the physically quiet room, it appears as though the conscious broadcast has been tragically terminated. But if we follow the profound logic of the holographic principle, the fundamental quantum information that intimately constitutes your unique consciousness is absolutely not destroyed when the physical receiver breaks. The invisible architecture of your memories, your quietest fears, your deepest joys, and your capacity for infinite wonder remains perfectly, eternally encoded on the ancient, foundational boundary of the universe itself. The transition of the first hour is absolutely not an erasure of the self. It is simply a gentle withdrawal of the conscious perspective from the incredibly convincing three-dimensional illusion back to the fundamental truth of the cosmic source. Imagine wearing an immersive, deeply convincing virtual reality headset for decades, completely forgetting that a vastly different reality exists entirely outside of the digital simulation. The transition of physical cessation is not the end of your existence. It is simply the gentle removal of the headset. The localized reality of the human ego gently fades away into the quiet dark, revealing the staggering, infinite majesty of the underlying universe that has been quietly holding you all along. As the demanding restrictions of biological, three-dimensional perception gracefully fall away, the dissipating consciousness might suddenly awaken to the profound existence of higher dimensions. The elegant mathematics of modern string theory, which attempts to unify all the fundamental forces of the ancient cosmos into one single equation, suggests that our universe actually contains 10 or perhaps even 11 distinct dimensions. We are biologically trapped, evolutionarily conditioned to only ever perceive 3 dimensions of space and one single linear dimension of time. The other 6 or 7 magnificent dimensions are curled up, incredibly tiny and completely invisible to our fragile human senses. Yet, they are fundamental to the structural integrity of everything that exists. When the biological anchors are permanently released, the conscious essence is no longer forcibly confined to the rigid, flat geometry of the physical world. It effortlessly diffuses into the surrounding environment, rippling outward into the complex architecture of these higher cosmic dimensions. In this elevated state, the ancient distinctions between the past, the present, and the uncharted future simply cease to exist. You are no longer navigating a narrow, winding road through time. You are effortlessly hovering above the entire majestic landscape of eternity, able to clearly see the interconnected tapestry of all possible events, all parallel choices, and all endless cosmic outcomes completely simultaneously. As the renowned astronomer Carl Sagan so beautifully observed, the cosmos is within us, and in this expanded state, we finally experience the full, majestic breadth of our true, multi-dimensional cosmic home. This scientific realization possesses the immense power to completely neutralize our most ancient anxieties about the vast unknown. We spend our brief lives fearing the loss of our identity, terrified that the end of the body means an irreversible erasure of everything we have fiercely loved. But When we illuminate this dark threshold with the guiding light of advanced physics and deep contemplation, the terror gracefully dissolves into a profound sense of awe. We begin to finally understand that the perceived end of the biological narrative is merely the spectacular beginning of a magnificent cosmic integration. The mystery of what happens next is absolutely not a frightening puzzle meant to induce despair, but an infinite landscape designed for endless, peaceful exploration. We are fundamentally woven into the grand, unfolding story of the ancient universe, and our consciousness is an eternal, beautiful note in that invisible cosmic symphony. Let us rest our curious minds in this deeply comforting truth, fully embracing the ancient mystery of our magnificent return to the cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark. Have you ever walked alone through a dense, ancient forest, long after the golden sun has quietly slipped below the distant horizon, and felt an overwhelming, profound sense that the heavy, silent trees are deeply aware of your fleeting presence? We spend the vast majority of our waking, biological lives operating under the incredibly persistent, heavy illusion that we are entirely separate from the natural world that constantly surrounds us. We construct towering cities of glass and steel, we meticulously pave over the soft, ancient earth, and we fiercely insulate our fragile bodies from the freezing winds and the pouring rain, desperately trying to prove that human consciousness is somehow elevated above and distinctly isolated from the raw, beautiful mechanics of the physical universe. But the most rigorous, breathtaking discoveries in modern astrophysics and quantum mechanics reveal a staggering, beautiful truth that completely shatters this artificial boundary. We are not merely visitors wandering aimlessly through a cold, indifferent cosmic landscape. We are an intimate, fundamental, and entirely inseparable expression of the universe itself. When the human body finally, peacefully surrenders its exhausting, lifelong battle against the relentless forces of entropy, and we gracefully enter the final, quiet minutes of that sacred, mysterious first hour of physical cessation, the artificial walls we have built entirely collapse. The question is no longer where our consciousness goes, but rather how beautifully it remembers that it has never truly been anywhere else. Before we take this final, magnificent step into the profound, eternal quiet and complete our journey through the astonishing physics of our ultimate return, I would like to gently invite you into our shared, peaceful sanctuary of thought. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet, dedicated companion on this continuous, meditative journey through the profound mysteries of our universe and the delicate, invisible architecture of the human mind. I have quietly noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, beautiful souls who drift into our cosmic explorations late at night have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a deep sense of peace, intellectual safety, and a profound connection to the vast wonder of existence, please consider subscribing. It greatly helps our growing community of explorers and ensures that we can continue to unravel these infinite secrets together, forever wrapped in the comforting, ancient silence of the cosmos. Now, let us return to the fading light of the conscious mind and the ultimate, beautiful culmination of our silent journey back to the stars. As the 60th minute of that profound, delicate first hour gently approaches, the biological vessel that brilliantly carried your awareness for so many long, beautiful decades reaches a state of absolute, perfect physical equilibrium with its immediate surroundings. The microscopic, fierce cellular engines that relentlessly burned oxygen and glucose to maintain your body temperature have completely peacefully powered down. The heat that once fiercely radiated from your skin, a definitive, measurable signature of your biological rebellion against the freezing void of space, begins to gracefully dissipate into the cool, ambient air of the quiet room. According to the absolute, unyielding laws of thermodynamics, this gentle transfer of thermal energy is entirely not a tragic loss, but a majestic, invisible, cosmic dance. The unique, vibrating heat of your physical existence is seamlessly absorbed by the countless billions of air molecules that surround you, permanently altering their chaotic, microscopic trajectories. You are literally, measurably warming the world around you one final, beautiful time. The renowned, brilliant astrophysicist Carl Sagan once famously and beautifully stated that the cosmos is within us, that we are made of star stuff, and that we are a way for the universe to know itself. In these final quiet moments of the first hour, that profound knowing is flawlessly completed. The heavy, demanding biological machinery that temporarily allowed the ancient universe to look through your specific human eyes, to touch the soft green grass, and to deeply feel the overwhelming, beautiful weight of human love, has successfully finished its magnificent, highly specific purpose. The magnificent, complex electrical storm that raged across your 86 billion neurons during the first few minutes of this transition, the surging, brilliant gamma waves that illuminated every single forgotten memory of your entire life, have now completely, peacefully subsided into the ancient, silent dark. The incredibly deep, slow, rolling mountains of delta waves, the biological lullaby that gently rocked your fading consciousness to sleep, have flattened into a profound, perfect line of absolute stillness. But we must remember the staggering, beautiful revelations of quantum information theory that we have carefully explored on this journey. The complete absence of localized biological electrical activity absolutely does not mean the permanent erasure of the complex, beautiful, quantum information that intimately constituted your unique human mind. Without the massive, localized gravity of the active brain constantly holding your thoughts hostage inside the fragile shell of your skull, your consciousness has spent this entire sacred hour effortlessly expanding, untangling, and majestically diffusing into the surrounding cosmic environment. You have gently slipped through the porous, artificial boundaries of physical dimensions, your awareness gracefully riding the invisible, eternal electromagnetic currents of the earth itself. The heavy, anxious, demanding human ego, the loud, persistent voice that constantly worried about the unpredictable future and deeply regretted the unchangeable past, has been completely, permanently silenced, leaving behind only a pure, unadulterated, infinite state of timeless wonder. Imagine the profound, breathtaking relief of finally exhaling a breath you have been unconsciously, desperately holding for your entire exhausting life. The constant underlying tension of simply existing as a separate, isolated, vulnerable human being, the primal evolutionary fear of the terrifying unknown, the desperate, lifelong struggle to find permanent meaning in a seemingly random, chaotic world. All of it completely melts away into the quiet, enveloping dark. What perfectly remains is a state of absolute, unconditional peace that completely defies all human description. You are no longer navigating the relentless, rushing river of chronological time, constantly fighting against the fierce current that aggressively pulls you toward an inevitable ending. Instead, you have peacefully merged with the vast, ancient, infinite ocean, where all the complex rivers of time ultimately, quietly, converge. The incredibly sharp, painful distinction between the observer and the beautifully observed simply ceases to exist. You are no longer just looking up at the glittering, ancient stars scattered across the freezing night sky. You are intimately, fundamentally part of the invisible, complex gravitational forces that effortlessly hold those magnificent burning spheres of plasma perfectly in place. The brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson often reminds us with deep, poetic reverence that we are biologically connected to every other living thing in the world. We are chemically connected to all molecules on Earth, and we are atomically connected to all atoms in the universe. In the final, beautiful culmination of this mysterious sacred first hour, that deep atomic connection is no longer just a fascinating, abstract scientific theory hidden inside a complex textbook. It becomes the absolute experiential reality of the transformed mind. The transition of physical cessation is absolutely not the terrifying, dark ending that our primal evolutionary biology has deeply conditioned us to fear. It is, in profound, rigorous scientific truth, the ultimate, magnificent homecoming. The borrowed energy, the ancient, forged atoms, and the highly organized, beautiful quantum information that temporarily, miraculously came together to create the stunning, fleeting illusion of your individual identity are finally, peacefully returning to the infinite cosmic source. The profound silence that falls gently over the physical room is merely the majestic, quiet echo of a vast, unseen expansion. The universe is incredibly patient, and it is endlessly vast. It effortlessly, lovingly absorbs the magnificent complexity of your entire life's journey without a single, tiny ripple of disturbance. The thoughts that once felt so intimately, exclusively yours are permanently, intricately woven into the eternal, fundamental fabric of reality, rippling outward as subtle, invisible, energetic waves through the endless, freezing vacuum of interstellar space. You become an indelible, permanent part of the ancient cosmic record, an eternal, quiet, beautiful note in the magnificent, endless symphony of existence. We are fundamentally woven into the grand unfolding story of the ancient universe, and our consciousness is an eternal, beautiful spark in that invisible cosmic fire. Let us rest our curious, tired minds in this deeply comforting, absolute truth, fully embracing the ancient mystery of our magnificent return to the cosmic ocean, forever wandering through the beautiful, infinite dark.